Okay, I'm gonna do a quick video today. I didn't do one yesterday, so we're gonna try to get this done as quickly as possible. Today's Sunday setup, and I wanted to have this video done earlier, but today's just been crazy. So you guys are gonna get it, and if you don't get it for today, if you end up not seeing this till Monday, then you can either do a Monday setup, or you can use this for next week. So Sunday setups, my biggest thing that I try to do is to sit down and think about the week before and what went right and what didn't go right, okay? And then compare that to where my goals are and what I need to get accomplished. So like today, I'm recording this video. I'm trying to be very quick about it because I still have schoolwork that I have to finish. And hopefully it's not going to be that hard. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that hard, but I am not 100% sure. So we are just rocking and rolling, and I'm like, let me go ahead and get a video knocked out real fast. While I'm here, I just went live on TikTok, and so I was like, let me just do a twofer. I went live on TikTok. Let me come here, do a quick video for you guys, and get this up for Vlogtober. We're on day 5, even though this is only the 3rd video that I've done. So I was just telling everybody over on TikTok that, sometimes I think we set goals, and we set lofty goals for ourselves because we really want to achieve them. Okay, I wanted to hit every single day of Vlogtober, and already I've missed 2 days and we're only on day 5. I could be very frustrated. I could be very upset with myself. I could feel like, why even try? Why continue? There's no point. I already messed it up. And I'm trying to take a different approach to life. And I've been trying to do this for a little while now. And that's the approach that sometimes things are going to happen, okay? And sometimes that's out of your control, and sometimes it's very in your control. I had time yesterday that I could have done the things I needed to do. I chose to spend that with my kids. And so I made the choice of saying this is more important, and I'm good on that. I do not feel one bit upset or bad about the choice that I made. That being said, I do feel like sometimes we hold ourselves to a higher degree of we have to do this. This time we have to make it. We have to hit every day. And so when we don't, because sometimes things happen, right? Like just in life in general, when you're trying to do something every day consistently for 31 days that you haven't even done 3 times a week yet, things come up, things happen. We don't plan necessarily the way that we could because we're not used to it, right? And so you have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself that space where you're like, okay, maybe I have maybe the 31 days was a stretch goal, and we're not going to hit 31 days now, but maybe I can hit 5 days a week, right? So that being said, that coming down to 20 and a couple of days probably for that, that first week, that was like a half a week. So 22, 23 days live, right? And trying to get to that space where we're even if we can't do that, we don't give up. We still keep trying. We still get back on the horse. We still continue to go. And I feel like that's something that a lot of times as neurodivergent creators, neurodivergent parents, right? Sometimes it can feel really, really hard when you're trying to get your kids to do something. I hear this all the time, and I have said it, and I do agree with it to some degree or another. We pick and choose our battles, and sometimes it's okay, I don't have the energy or the ability to argue and push this point anymore. And that is kind of where I agree with that. However, sometimes we need to get back on that horse eventually and try again, and see if maybe in a little bit, the opinions have changed, or maybe we're in a different space. Maybe we've figured out a different way to explain it to our kids or something. And there's other ways that, other things that can get in there that can help us. If it's something that is that important, then, you should keep trying to do it. Definitely take breaks when you need them. That's not saying that we don't take a break. That's not saying that sometimes we don't need that break, right? So I try to think about that when I'm planning my week out, right? So I try to think, I take a few minutes to just sit and go, okay, what went right this week and what went wrong this week? And was it related to my goals? Was it something because I didn't plan well enough? Was it something out of my control? Was it something, where did that go? Because if it's out of my control, then I can't continue to sit and try to figure it out, right? It's out of my control. That belongs to somebody else. That belongs to something else sometimes. Okay, we did the best we could with what we had. If it's something where I dropped something, I dropped the ball on something, I forgot something, I didn't plan out something, then I can take a minute and I can just look at it from the place of what is it trying to teach me, right? What do I need to do moving forward to make sure I don't drop these balls? What needs to happen? Do I need to have a system where if I say yes to something, it goes in my phone immediately so that then it reminds me later that I need to plan this out? Do I need to have stuff like I can't say yes until it's on the calendar, so I make sure that it's not conflicting with other things? Do I need to have it in my head that, okay, like I already have, like especially right now with Vlogtober, I'm trying to do a video every day. I'm trying to get 3 to 5 posts up on TikTok and Instagram every day. I am trying to go live every day on TikTok. That's a lot by itself. We're also adding in the Dream Lab, which I have 2 calls every week, and we're going to be adding in one-on-one calls. I'm probably not going to do that this week. I'm probably going to start that next week, just because I still need to see who all is going to actually get on board on this round, because this round I pretty much gave away all the spots for free, but not everybody has jumped in yet. So I need to make sure who's all going to jump in so that I can figure out schedules and stuff. But that's part of it, right? And then I have to get stuff going for the big top. That has to be full of stuff by the end of the week. I've got a lot of stuff going on in addition to school and figuring out some of the stuff with the move. So I already have a lot on my plate. So if I had to add more stuff to my plate this week, it probably wouldn't be a good idea. But if I do need to, I can plan out my week so that I have spaces during that week that, okay, there's a couple hour break there and a couple hour break there and maybe a half a day off here, where I can make sure that I plan that in. So if I need to do something, I can do that. But if we're not intentional about doing it, it's very easy to let things drop, to let things slide. It would be very, very easy for me to let a video slide and say, I'm not going to get a video up today because I didn't have the time to record it. It would be very easy for me to say, I'm not going to get, stuff up in the big top this week, because number one, I don't really have very many people in there right now, and 2, that's going to take a lot of resources because I have a bunch of different spaces that I want to do things in. So that would take a lot of time to plan that out, and that's something that if I dropped that off my plate, that would free up a decent amount of time if I needed it, right? So I can use that as a space where I can say I have that ability to take that off my plate if I absolutely need to. But also, I'm intentionally saying I want, right? I want to hold on to these things. These things are important to me. So if I intentionally set this up so that these are my things that I need to do, then if something comes up, I can say, okay, is this more important, or is this something that would add to something? Can I rearrange stuff, or do I have to say no? And I might say no to some stuff that I normally wouldn't say no to because my priorities are in line. I know what's important, I know what's needed of me, and I know that it's trying to get the community to a better place, which is where I've been at for a very long time. So making those things intentional, right? Maybe that's sports with your kids. Maybe that's some type of class that you're taking, or, you know, parent-teacher conferences are probably coming up pretty soon, I think, and different things. So maybe those are some things that you're juggling around, right? And some of them are just one-time things or once a week things or whatever. And some of them are repetitive things, right? Another thing that we can do is we can work on what are ways to accommodate ourselves. If I spend an astronomical amount of time, say, doing dishes or cooking or something like that, how can I take part of that off my plate? Do I buy paper plates? So that, yes, it's going to be a little more expensive, but if we do breakfast and lunch on paper plates, or, you know, however, snacks and lunch and whatever, then I'm not having to do as many dishes, which means I can free that time up to use elsewhere. Cooking, can I carve out a space of time during the week and meal prep a bunch of stuff as much as possible to where I can put things in the crock pot and forget about it? I can make sheet pan meals where all I got to do is dump everything out on a pan an hour before I'm ready for dinner, throw it in the oven and call it a day, right? Can I utilize some of those resources that are out there that are free, right? You can Google sheet pan meals, you can Google meal plans, you can Google meal prep, and people have those resources out there for you to use. And then you can use those to free up some time, free up some space, right? Maybe it's 3 hours one day that you do that for the week, but then you're good for, you know, most of the week. Whereas if you're taking time out of your day every day to try to figure out what's for dinner and then get it ready and then prep it and then cook it and then, you know, clean up after it, that's a lot. But if you did all of your prepping and you're preparing stuff early and then just cooked it on the day, you're going to do dishes one time versus having to do it before, you know, every time. Like, it's going to save a lot of time. So we look for things like that we can do that's going to free up time. That's another way that we can free up time if we're in that space where we're like, well, I don't really have time to chase my dreams. Like, I wish I had time to go after my dreams, but I don't. Can you free up some space in the week by doing stuff like that, right? Can we do things like, if you're driving your car, do not do this, but if you are riding public transportation, or if you're carpooling and someone else is driving a car and you have the ability to like check emails and stuff like that in the car, in, you know, on the way to and from places, do it, right? Utilize the time when you're waiting in line somewhere to do some of those things that take up time, but you can do those real quick while you're like waiting in line and stuff like that, so that frees up. Even if you're freeing up 20 minutes of time, you can get a lot accomplished in 20 minutes of time if you have that time specifically allotted for what you're trying to do. I can film an entire video in 20 minutes. And then I can set it aside, and the next day I can take 20 minutes if I'm going to edit it, which I haven't been editing any of these. But if I'm going to edit it, I can edit it in 20 minutes the next day, and then that third day I can get everything up and ready to go. And in 3 days, I've created one video for content. You know, there's that kind of a thing. There's the kind of thing where if you're wanting to work on an art project or some kind of crafting thing, and you have a place where you can house all of your materials to make it easy to grab and go, you can take 20 minutes once you have all that stuff together and whatever, and it doesn't take long to set up and put back away, and you know, you can work on your whatever it is for, you know, 17 minutes or so by the time you set it up and have a minute or two to, you know, put it away. But there's all kinds of things that we can do to bring ourselves into a happier space, to realize more of that dream quality of life that we're looking for. And I tell people all the time, if you are not living your dream life, just keep going. Keep holding on to that dream. Don't let go of that dream. You have that dream for a reason. And that's why I love talking about goals and talking about, like, what are your big goals for the week? What are your big things that you want to accomplish? Because if we keep them to ourselves, then if we don't make it, no harm, no foul, right? Nobody knows about it. It was just us. No big deal. But the minute that we start to say them, the minute we type them out, the minute that we put them public, the minute that we speak them to people, now they become something that other people know about. Now they become something that the people that care about us want to know more about. They become the things where it's like, oh yeah, how did that one thing go that you were trying to do? And you don't want necessarily to have to tell them you didn't do it, which puts you on the hook for it, which means you're more likely to do it, which is why I create things like the posts about goals and stuff. Because a lot of times, if we put ourselves on the hook for it, it's going to get done. Even if it gets done sloppy and we slide in sideways, right? I do that all the time. I do. With school especially. I will go I'm zooming down the lane, sliding in sideways 7 minutes before something's supposed to be turned in. And I'm not necessarily proud of it, but also I understand why I do it. So it doesn't bother me as much because I get the reasoning why. And so I kind of have more grace with myself on that. And I realize that sometimes I need that little boost of like a beat the clock kind of feeling to get it done. And then once I do it and I get it done, then we're good, right? So making sure that we're looking at what the week before, what the week that we just got through, what was good, what wasn't good, what we can do better, what our goals are. If you are redoing something, right? I didn't finish this goal, so now I'm going to move it to the next week. Then you kind of need to star that, okay? Unless it's something that is really, really, like you'll know yourself. But if it's something where it's like, let's say it's making Christmas presents or something like that, and you know you've got plenty of time to do it, you just want to get a jump start on stuff. So if you have to push it off for another week, it would be okay. And but if it's something that's going to move something that you're trying to do forward, like a business or a side hustle or something like that you're trying to move yourself forward through, put a star by that and make sure that you make it a priority to finish that this week. It's important because I think a lot of times we give everybody else all of our prime time, and then we're out of juice and out of energy and out of spoons to deal with our own stuff. So if you have been giving to everybody else and there's things in your life that you know would, one, improve your life, right? I mean, how much, if you're, okay, let's just take the side hustle for just a second and run with it. A side hustle, a business, something like that. You're looking at making more money. More money can help you in more ways than you can think of, because a lot of times the more money we have, the more we can get help. We can take part of that money and use it to, get somebody to come in and help us clean house, or get groceries delivered, or, have somebody like go out to eat one night or something like that so we can get a break. There's all kinds of ways that extra money can help us with accommodations. We just have to have that money. So a lot of times moving yourself forward on that path will go, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal because it hasn't really made money yet, or I don't really know if it's going to be a good thing or not. And so I don't really want to put all that attention and effort into it yet if, I don't know. But you'll never know if you don't try, one. And two, if it's going to help you in the long run to have an easier life, just do the thing, right? Like, okay, maybe I'm gonna have to push myself to, do a couple of things that I wouldn't normally do later in the week, or, I don't know. There's just, I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure that we are chasing our dreams, that we are going after our dreams, that we are doing the things that we want to do that light us up. Because when we're lit up, when we are feeling at our best, when we are getting what we want and we are re-energized from living a life that feels good to us. We have more to give to everybody else. And when we don't, we're like scraping the bottom of the barrel, and that's not good for your health. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your family. So make sure that you are doing the things you need to do for yourself, right? Plan out your week. I used to love to color block. I don't like to color block anymore because I need things to be mobile. So I almost need like everything to be able to be moved around at any given time. So what I try to do instead is just to put tasks that I need to do on certain days. And this gets done whenever it gets done, as long as it gets done on that day. And then if something comes up and I have to move it or we have to push everything down a little bit, then that's one thing. But at the end of the day, the goal is to try to get all the stuff done on the list by the end of the day. That's the way that works best for me. Some people really do like color blocking and having like where they can visually see how much balance they have with the different colors. And if that is something that helps you, then by all means go for it. There's also people who do a lot of like batching, and I used to try to batch. I have been kind of pulling away from batching for the moment, because what feels better to me is to have these moments where I'm coming to you guys real and raw, and whatever is on my mind is what comes out, versus something that was scripted out, or, you know, maybe not scripted, but like plotted out, right? Like talking points and whatever. And yeah, I don't miss things that way, but also if there was something else that needed to come out that people needed to hear that day, it's very difficult for me to transition between the two. And so not having that at the moment is actually helping me to be able to come through and bring you guys videos like this. So, but definitely, you know, just make sure that you are giving to yourself, that you are planning, that you are, you know, if you need, if your morning routine is not where it needs to be, make sure your night routine is where it needs to be first. That is the most important. You are setting yourself up so that you can do your morning routine correctly, so that you can set yourself up for the day. And sometimes that looks like staying up later than we want to. Sometimes that looks like pushing through, being exhausted, but still doing stuff. But when we wake up and everything is in disarray, it's very difficult for a lot of us to focus on our morning routine the way we need to. And then the rest of the day just goes kind of back and forth and all over the place, because we haven't grounded and gotten ourselves to a place where we are good with whatever happens. And I promise you, when I've had those mornings, when I've been able to really dive in and really get myself ready for whatever the day holds, I can go a really long time with a lot of craziness being thrown at me, and it doesn't push me around the same way that it does when I'm not grounded. When I wake up and I just kind of do whatever, or the first thing I do is reach for my phone and start checking social media. I don't do that in the mornings if I can help it. I might go on and watch a YouTube video that is, you know, some type of either meditation or motivational for myself, but it's always motivational. It's always something that I know is going to get me in a space where I want to be, that's going to be positive and make me in that space where anything can happen and I can do this and I've got this and all that stuff. Whereas if I'm in that space where I grab my phone and I immediately go to somebody's live on TikTok, or I'm scrolling through somebody griping and complaining about some other YouTuber or something, I feel less motivated to do my morning routine. And then again, that puts me kind of all over the place during the day. All right, guys, this has been a Vlogtober day 5 technically. I appreciate you guys. If y'all got anything out of this, drop it in the comments below. Share this out. Hit that like button. Subscribe. We will be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.